Book 18. Book 18. Argument. Achilles mourns, told of Patroclus' end, when Thetis doth from forth the sea ascend, and comfort him, advising to abstain from any fight, till her request could gain fit arms of Vulcan. Juno yet commands to show himself, and at the dike he stands in sight of the enemy, who with his sight flies, and a number perish in the fight. Who with his sight flies, and a number perish in the flight. And at the dike he stands in sight of the enemy, who with his sight flies, and a number perish in the flight. Patroclus' person safe brought from the wars, his soldiers wash, Vulcan his arms prepares. Another argument. Sigma continues the alarms, and fashions the renowned arms. Sigma continues the alarms, and fashions the renowned arms. And fashions the renowned arms. And fashions the renowned arms. They fought still like the rage of fire. They fought still like the rage of fire. And now Antilochus came to Aeacides, whose mind was much solicitous for that which, as he feared, was fallen. He found him near the fleet with upright sail yards, uttering this to his heroic conceit. All right, let's pull in a few voices that we know we're going to need here. Antilochus, probably should have done this before I even started recording, but whatever. Achilles, Antilochus. Oh, we don't have Antilochus? No. We don't have Antilochus, okay. Thetis. We need Vulcan. We need... Maybe Jove and Juno talk to each other during this one. I feel like there's a part where he says, like, oh, now you got what you wanted. Are you happy now? Type thing. That is probably it. Oh, maybe Aias says something. Or Ajax, rather. For now, Achilles and Antilochus we have to make up a voice for. I could have sworn that Antilochus spoke already. Let us ask some prophet, priest, or prove some dream interpreter, for dreams are often sent by Jove. Why Phoebus is so much incensed. I'm surprised I don't have an angry Achilles voice, but I guess we won't need that yet. With upright sail yards, uttering this to his heroic conceit. Ah me, why see the Greeks themselves thus beaten from the field, and routed headlong to their fleet? Oh, let not heaven yield effect to what my sad soul fears, that, as I was foretold, the strongest Myrmidon next me, when I should still behold the sun's fair light, must part with it. Past doubt, Menoetius' son is he whom on that fate is wrought. As I was foretold, the strongest Myrmidon next me, when I should still behold the sun's fair light, must part with it. Past doubt, Menoetius' son is he on whom that fate is wrought. O wretch, to leave undone what I commanded, that the fleet once freed of hostile fire, not meeting O wretch, to leave undone what I commanded, that the fleet once freed of hostile fire, not meeting Hector, instantly he should his powers retire. Hector, instantly he should his powers retire. Instantly he should his powers retire. Instantly he should his powers retire. He should his powers retire. As thus his troubled mind discoursed, Antilochus appeared, and told with tears the sad news thus. Antilochus appeared, and told with tears the sad news thus. All right, let's get a note for Antilochus' voice. Today is 17. At 8 minutes. My lord, that must be heard which would to heaven I might not tell. That's pretty good. As thus his troubled mind discoursed, Antilochus appeared, and told with tears the sad news thus. My lord, that must be heard which would to heaven I might not tell. Menetius' son lies dead. Okay, hold on. This is an illustration. Oh, pretty cool illustration here. I guess it's all the Nereids under the ocean. Nice. Again, this is like an edition from the 1800s. I'm kind of curious. I can't see that many details of it, but I would like to see those in higher resolution. They must be engravings or something. Which would to heaven I might not tell. Menetius' son lies dead. Menetius' son lies dead. Menetius' son lies dead, and for his naked corse his arms already forfeited. And for his naked corse his arms already forfeited and worn by Hector, the debate is now most vehement. The debate is now most vehement. This said, grief. This said, this said, this said, most vehement. This said, grief darkened all his powers. With both his hands he rent the black mold from the forced earth and poured it on his head, smeared all his lovely face, his weeds divinely fashioned, all filed and mangled, he himself, and himself he threw upon the shore, lay as laid out for funeral, then tumbled round and tore his gracious curls. His ecstasy he did so far extend, that all the ladies won by him, and his now slaughtered friend, afflicted strangely for his plight, came shrieking from the tents, and fell about him, beat their breasts, their tender lineaments dissolved with sorrow. And then, with sorrow, and with them wept Nestor's warlike son, fell by him, holding his fair hands, in fear he would have done his person violence. His heart extremely straitened, burned, beat, swelled, and sighed as it would burst. So terribly he mourned that Thetis, sitting in the deeps of her old father's seas, heard and lamented. To her plaints the bright Nereides. Do I have it written that it would be Nereides or Nereides? It has to be Nereides, right? Nereides. I'm going to do a double check on the Greek for that. Actually, I know the Greek for that, which would be Nereides. I have it right here in my ancient Greek. I just learned, or just redid the chapter about that. Nereides. Nereides. Nereid. It does seem like Nereides. Nereides. Well, for Peleus, it would be Pleiades is how I do it. For Laertes, see, that one's closer to Nereides. Nereides. I'm going to say Nereides. Nereides, maybe like that. But for this, we are going to, I stupidly didn't prepare a phonetic guide, which this is like the one guaranteed moment that you're going to need it. I do have all the pronunciations made, but let's just really quick do this guide. So, okay. We need Glauci. We need Simoth. Hold on. Let's make this bigger. Glauci. Simodosi. And who? Spio? I don't even have that one. All right. Let's check that one. I don't remember that name. Greek Nereid. Speo. Okay, apparently she is a Nereid. So I guess we'd call her Speo. All right. The problem is that when I try to copy the text, it doesn't really copy correctly. Chimothoi. Amphithoi. Talia. This is a huge waste of time. I should have done this before I started recording. I just wasn't thinking, because obviously I would have known that the Nereids have to do this. Okay, this one is Ira. Aira. Okay. Limnoria. Halia. Nope, not Halia. Halia. I don't have one for Halia. Let's check the... Halie. Wikipedia, when it writes ancient Greek text, it's like really messed up. If you ever look up any Greek characters, it's all spread out. But then if you copy paste it into the browser search bar, it perfectly is formatted. So I always have to end up doing that. Halia. Halia. Aira and Limnoria and Halia the Fair. It has to be Halia. Okay. The way that he wants to pronounce it, at least. And Halia the Fair. Well, we're probably going to get to the end of this and then have to end the recording session. It's a waste of time. Well, whatever. Amathia, Terra. Iera. Yeah, see, when I try to copy paste the text into my text document, it doesn't understand those characters, the I and then the AE together, character. Proto. Clymene. Dexamene. Ferusa. Doris, I think I would say. I don't want it to sound like, Doris. Let's say Doris. I don't want it to sound like Doris, like a regular name. Amphinomy. Galatea, Kalinira. I mean, I did write all these originally, so I still remember most of them, but as you can see, sometimes I do need to check, and I would rather have it pronounced the right way now than have to go through every single name later when I'm checking the book afterwards. Usually when I'm checking it afterwards, I'm mostly checking it for if it matches what the text says, but I can't check every single pronunciation afterwards, so I try to get those right first. Agave. Nemertes. Okay, we're almost there. Mira. Okay. Mira. Melita. Ionis. Ionira. Okay, and Nereides, I'm pronouncing it as, not Nereides. Now that I'm not sure that I did the same way. Let's check the master guide here. How did I do it in other episodes? No way. I never did it, I guess. I guess I have not. No. Yeah, I guess I have not. I haven't even said Nereid, apparently, or else I didn't write it down because maybe I thought it was too obvious. But okay, so we're going to go with Nereides then. Let's check this. Heard and lamented, to her plaints the bright Nereides flocked all. Yeah, I think that's Nereides, the bright Nereides. We gotta do Nereides. It doesn't serve anything by making it like impossible to understand what we're talking about. Yeah, this is another instance of I was trying to stick too close to the ancient Greek, where that's not necessary, because this whole translation is not really doing that. Okay, so now we have this after much unnecessary labor. Well, necessary, but shouldn't have been done now labor. And now we will do this. So terribly he mourned that Thetis, sitting in the depths of her old father's seas, heard and lamented. To her plaints, okay, now let's pull this up. Heard and lamented. To her plaints the bright Nereides flocked all. To her plaints the bright Nereides flocked all. How many those... All right, let me standardize the text here, because when I copied this in, it was like, oh, that's no good. When I copied this in, it was like the text was all messed up. All right, let's make this slightly more legible. Okay. Heard and lamented. To her plaints the bright Nereides flocked all. Flocked all. How many those dark gulfs soever comprehend. There Glauci and Cimodosi and Speia did attend. Nesea and Cimothoe and calm Amphithoe. And Cimothoe and calm Amphithoe. Nesea and Cimothoe and calm Amphithoe. That one wants to hit the first syllable. Nesaea and Chimothoe, and calm Amphithoe. Amphithoe. Talia, Thoa, Panope. Talia, Thoia. This wants to be Panopy. Let's switch that on the... Again, this is a unique translation because it has to fit within a rhyming meter. And sometimes you can tell that he wants you to pronounce it a certain way, even if that's not how I would have thought to pronounce it, based on the, linguistic origins. Sometimes he's trying to force a pronunciation, basically. Talia, Thoa, Panopy, and swift dynamity, Aira and Limnoria, and Halia. Talia, Thoa, Panopy, and swift dynamity, Aira and Limnoria, and Halia the fair. And Limnoria and Halia the fair, famed for the beauty of her eyes, Amathia for her hair, famed for the beauty of her eyes, Amathia for her hair, Aira, Prota, Clymene, and curled Dexamene, Pherusa, Doris, and with these the smooth Amphinome, chaste Galatea so renowned, and smooth Amphinome, chaste Galatea so renowned, and Callianira came, with Dota and Orithia to cheer the mournful dame. Apseides likewise visited, and Callianassa gave her kind attendance, and with her Agave graced the cave. Hold on. Callianassa. Callianira. Okay. And then Callianassa later. Where is this? Oh, Callianassa. Okay. With Dota and Orithia to cheer the mournful dame. Apseides likewise visited, and Callianassa gave her kind attendance, and with her Agave graced the cave. Nomertes, Mira followed, Melita, Ionis. Mira followed Melita, the cave. Nomertes, Mira followed Melita, Ionis, with Ionira and the rest of those Nereides. So now he wants it to say Nereides because of the rhyme. Ionis, with Ionira and the rest of those Nereides. Oh wait, now I'm switching my own pronunciation. Hold on. With Ionira and the rest of those Nereides. It really does seem now like he wants it to be Nereides. With Ionira and the rest of those Nereides. And the rest of those Nereides, that in the deep seas make abode, all which together beat. In the deep seas make abode, that in the deep, and the rest of those Nereides, that in the deep seas make abode, all which together beat their all which together beat their dewy bosoms. And to all thus Thetis did repeat the cause of mourning. Okay. Thetis, why weeps my son? What grieves thee? Speak, conceal not what thou hast laid. Did repeat her case of dewy bosoms, and to all thus, dewy bosoms, and to all thus Thetis did repeat the cause of mourning. And to all thus Thetis did repeat her cause of mourning. And to all thus Thetis did repeat her cause of mourning. Sisters, hear how much the sorrows weigh, whose cries now called ye. Hapless I brought forth unhappily the best of all the sons of men, who, like a well-set plant in best soils, grew and flourished. And when his spirit did want employment for his youth and strength, I sent him with a fleet to fight at Ilion. From whence his fate confined feet pass all my deity to retire. The court of his high birth, the glorious court of Peleus, must entertain his worth. Peleus must entertain his worth never hereafter. Court of Peleus must entertain his worth never hereafter. All the life he had to live with me must waste in sorrows. And this son I now am bent to see, being now afflicted with some grief not usually grave, whose knowledge I recure. Some grief not usually grave, whose knowledge and recure I seek. Bent to see, being now afflicted with some grief not usually grave, whose knowledge and recure I seek. This said, she left her cave, which all left with her. Swimming forth the green waves as they all left with her. Swimming forth the green waves as they swum, cleft with their bosoms, curled, and gave quick way to Troy. Being come, they all ascended, two and two, and trod the honored shore, till where the fleet of Myrmidons drawn up in heaps it bore. There stayed they at Achilles' ship, and there did Thetis lay her fair hand on her son's curled head, sighed, wept, and bade him say what grief drew from his eyes those tears. Conceal it not, said she, till this thy hour, thy uplifted hands have all things granted thee. The Greeks all thrust up at their... Till this hour thy uplifted hands have all things granted thee. The Greeks all thrust up at their sterns have poured out tears enow, and in them seen how much they miss remission of thy vow. He said, 'Tis true, Olympius hath done me all that grace, but what joy have I of it, when he thrusts in the place loss of my whole self in my friend, whom, when his foe had slain, he spoiled of those profaned arms that Peleus did obtain from heaven's high powers, solemnizing thy sacred nuptial bands, as the only present of them all, and fitted as the only sacred nuptial bands, as the only present of them all, and fitted well their hands, being lovely, radiant, marvelous. Oh, would to heaven thy throne, oh, would to heaven thy throne, with these fair deities of the sea, thou still hadst sat upon, and Peleus had a mortal wife, since by his means is done so much wrong to thy grieved mind, my death being set so soon, and never suffering my return to grace of Peleus' court. Nor do I wish it, nor to live in any man's resort, but only that the crying blood for vengeance of my friend, mangled by Hector, may be stilled, his foe's death paying his end. She, weeping, said, That hour is near, and thy death's hour then nigh. That hour is near, and thy death's hour then nigh, which in thy wish served of thy foe succeedeth instantly, and instantly it shall succeed. He answered, since my fate allowed not my will a power to rescue, ere the date of his late slaughter, my true friend. Far from his friends he died, whose wrong therein my eyes had light and right to see denied. Yet now I neither light myself, nor have so spent my light, that either this friend or the rest, in numbers infinite, slaughtered by Hector, I can help. Nor grace with wished repair to our dear country, but breathe here unprofitable air, and only live a load to earth with all my strength, though none of all the Grecians equal it. In council many a one is my superior. What I have, no grace gets that I want. Grace gets what I want, disgraceth all. How then too soon can hastiest death supplant my fate cursed life? Her instrument to my indignity being that black fiend contention, whom would to God might die to gods and men, and anger too, that kindles tyranny in men most wise, being much more sweet than liquid honey is to men of power to satiate their watchful enmities, and like a pliant fume it spreads through all their breasts, as late it stole stern passage through mine, which he did instigate. That is our general. But the fact so long past, the effect must vanish with it, though both grieved, nor must we still respect our soothed humours. Need now takes the rule of either's mind, and when the loser of my friend his death in me shall find, let death take all. Send him, ye gods, I'll give him my embrace. Not Hercules himself shunned death, though dearest in the grace of Jupiter. Even him fate stopped. Even him fate stooped, and Juno's cruelty. And if such fate expect my life where death strikes, I will lie. Where death strikes, I will lie. Meantime, I wish a good renown. That these deep-breasted dames of Ilion and Dardania may, for the extinguished flames of their friends' lives, with both their hands wipe miserable tears from their so curiously kept cheeks. And be the officers to execute my sighs on Troy, when, seeing my long retreat but gathered strength and gives my charge an answerable heat, they well may know 'twas I lay still, and that my being away presented all their happiness. But any further stay, which your much love perhaps may wish, essay not to persuade. All vows are kept, all prayers heard, now free way for fight is made. All prayers heard, now free way for fight is made. The silver-footed dame replied, It fits thee well, my son, to keep destruction from thy friends, but those fair arms are won and worn by Hector, that should keep thyself in keeping them, though their fruition be but short, a long death being near him, whose cruel glory they are yet. By all means, then, forbear to tread the massacres of war, till I again appear from Mulciber with fit new arms, which then thy eye shall see again appear from Mulciber with fit new arms, which when thy eye shall see the sun next rise, shall enter here with his first beams and me.